There has been some discussion on the increasing price of goods and services due to inflation, but we must all appreciate that most of the inflation is actually imported, as the former learned Attorney General had stated many times during his term as Minister for the Economy.
He added to inflation by increasing VAT.
I'll check on hands up. Honourable members. Therefore, our government's effort to cushion the impact of inflation is through budgetary measures to support the most vulnerable in our society, through the removal of VAT on basic food items and medicines. We also increased social protection allowances and directed resources to the agriculture sector to ensure food security. Only this morning, Honourable Speaker, sir, a member of the government caucus raised the issue of cover bars remaining open longer than the alcohol bars, and urging us to speak to our electorates and encourage people to plant more, because a lot are not going back because they've been at the bar until the morning. As Leader of the Opposition in 2020, I recall urging the former Minister for the Economy that it is important to appreciate that Fiji will continue to face certain challenges and constraints due to our vulnerability and narrow-based economy. Despite claims of growth, prosperity and boom in the past decade, our average annual economic growth rate barely exceeded 3%, well below the average growth rate of 4.3 during the Alliance in the SBT days. However, the so-called boom failed to substantially improve income levels and the quality of life for the majority of our people. Figures provided by the Bureau of Statistics and our development partners confirm that Fiji's economic performance was dismal. Despite the favorable trading environment since 2017, economic growth was stagnant because the economy continued to be driven by consumption with low levels of investment. Based on that premise, development partners, including the IMF, continuously reminded the then Minister for the Economy to consolidate government finances because of economic headwinds. If you check inside, you'll note that I said all these words while I was on that side. Despite that advice, Mr. Speaker, sir, previous government continued to take an expansionary approach, focusing on consumption rather than investment. Government borrowing was directed to consumption rather than investment. While we have inherited high national debt and limited fiscal space, we will not continue the past practices of inconsistent policies which provide low or no return on investment. The opposition members did not consider these facts when pointing fingers at government in terms of how the economy has fared in our first year in office. They must understand, Mr. Speaker, sir, that it's always a lag period before an impact is felt in the economy. The claim by the Honourable, my friend, the Honourable Mr. Koya, who is on the phone, that Fiji first left us a booming economy. Sorry, Mrs. Honourable Member, is not true. What they left us is a debt burden of almost 100% of our GDP. Despite the fact of high liquidity in the market, which was around 600 million annually, investors were reluctant to borrow and played the wait-and-see game. The lack of confidence, Speaker, sir, due to inconsistency of policies, poor law and order situation, human rights violations, and our low ratings on the ease of doing business ranking are what the coalition government has inherited. This resulted in lack of employment opportunities and hardships faced by our citizens. I'm optimistic that the $3 billion investment in the pipeline will be realized because there is renewed confidence in the economy. With more transparency, certainty, and consistency,